Well, all day long, we have been following breaking news from New Orleans, where a man rammed his vehicle into a crowd on Bourbon Street early this morning, killing at least 15 people and injuring dozens more.
Police killed the suspect during a shootout moments after the deadly attack. He has been identified as Shamsud Din Bahar Jabbar, a 42-year-old Army veteran from Texas. The FBI found an Islamic State group flag in his vehicle and is investigating the attack as an act of terrorism.
The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. Mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he is inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
New Orleans officials facing questions tonight after the city failed to finish installing 5 sets of steel barricades that block off traffic at cross streets along Bourbon, and one that was installed had failed. The city did not plan to fix the issue until the Super Bowl. Dr. Tom Makaitis, terrorism expert and history professor at DePaul University, is joining us live now to discuss more on this tragedy in New Orleans. Tom, thanks for joining us. What are your thoughts on this suspect's background? We heard President Biden elaborating on some posts to social media where he was praising ISIS and also his military background. Just give us your reaction to the details that we know about him so far.
Well, it reminds me of the Fort Hood shooter in that regard, Hassan Nadal. This is another example of the self-radicalized or radicalized online lone wolf terrorist, although we're not sure. It looks like he acted alone, but they're not entirely sure about that. But what's really interesting is his attack was almost, a page taken out of the Inspire magazine published in 2010. That was that issue that had this Chicago skyline. It also had an article titled "The Ultimate Mowing Machine," which contained instructions for how to use a pickup truck to mow down pedestrians, and then follow it up with a firearm battle, which is exactly what he did. And of course, the flag is pretty compelling evidence that he affiliated with ISIS. Now, they didn't immediately claim responsibility, which is further evidence that he's a lone wolf. Typically, they will only weigh in when they've made a determination that, yes, he's acted on our behalf and we bless his actions.
Tom, I want to talk about the sense of vulnerability that I think many of us feel when an attack like this happens. What is your sense about what the city of New Orleans, what police could have done to better prevent an attack like this in any city for that matter? We've got the Sugar Bowl being moved to tomorrow, lots of other big events. What are your thoughts about protecting this country with that kind of attack?
Well, failure to put those bollards up was egregious, especially when we had an attack in Magdeburg, Germany, that exploited an almost identical vulnerability, going in the back way through an opening that was designed for emergency vehicles. And we didn't learn from that, even though ISIS had in fact issued warnings of increased terrorist activity during the Christmas and Hanukkah holidays. And in spite of that, all they had to do is move a truck there, or they could have put a concrete barrier until they got those things fixed. That would have been enough to stop the vehicle from traveling several blocks at speed and mowing people down. There's no excuse for what they did. Beyond that, there isn't much you can do. The public has to accept a level of risk, exercise, a kind of situational awareness, where are the exits, where are the entrances, who are the people around me, and things like that. Beyond that, you can't take yourself hostage to fear. But that was a colossal security failure.
As far as this investigation goes and as it moves forward, what do you think they will be looking at now? We are told there's a home in Houston that's being searched. And also, aside from this truck, they found IEDs along near Bourbon Street. I'm assuming determining if he acted alone or if someone else was involved.
That's going to be the focus of their investigation, is the presence of all of these IEDs does point to the possibility of some kind of support group behind him. That was the case that happened with the truck attack in Nice, France in 2016, the Bastille Day attack, where initially it looked like a lone wolf single actor, but then they found there were several others involved, and about 8 people ended up being convicted. That's the primary concern. Also making sure that there are no additional devices. you can be sure security for the game tomorrow will be amped up. And then the next thing, of course, is trying to find out whether or not, what his motive was. And then now with this incident in Las Vegas, they're going to be looking into, is there a connection? So far, it's not clear that there is, but it's a worrying, if it's a coincidence, it's a highly unusual one.
What would you say? What does the FBI, what tools do they have to try to get to the heart of what it is that you're describing? What are the ways, briefly, Tom, that they'll be most effective at learning these things?
Well, they have a wide variety of tools. They have a number of investigative capabilities and so on. They're being tight-lipped about what they know because anything you share with the public becomes available to anybody who is still out there. But they'll be following up leads. They'll be looking at communication. They'll be looking at his cell phone, his internet, everything else. They'll be determining whether the vehicles, that were both rented, the one in Las Vegas and this one, had a connection. I've heard that there's a possibility of that. They also have a great deal of background information on the organization's activities. But when you have an individual with no prior record, never had been engaged in anything before, it's very hard to anticipate. The people who might have spotted it are friends, family, and acquaintances, and it's always tragic when they rarely speak up.
All right, Tom Makaitis, we always appreciate getting your perspective in difficult moments like this, so thanks for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Happy to help.